是一般的什么，这应该是外卖界的神吧，我感觉。
我们这儿接的就是食堂，在这个港区你没有办法使用，就从这一刻开始。
In recent years, China has been described as facing numerous challenges. Starting from the banking crisis, problems have arisen to the extent that even banks are left without money. How are ordinary people supposed to live in such circumstances? Recently, various local governments have been facing financial difficulties, to the point where they can hardly afford to pay salaries. In many places, salary cuts have been initiated, and some regions have even experienced months of unpaid wages. Shockingly, recent news reports reveal that some schools are unable to pay their electricity bills, leading to power cuts and the forced suspension of classes for all students. It's astonishing that such situations can occur in the 21st century, in a country where students can't even attend classes. A public school that receives full financial allocations is unable to pay its electricity bill, leading to a power cutoff by the Electricity Supply Bureau, forcing students to stay at home. According to the school teachers, they haven't received their salaries for 3 months. I find it perplexing because this is a public school with full financial support. The school shouldn't be under financial pressure, so why is this happening? This is an issue in my hometown, and I'm surprised because, firstly, it's 2024, and such problems still exist. However, simultaneously, I'm not surprised because during my school days, which were not too long ago, such situations were prevalent. Teachers in our region went without salaries for almost a year. You can imagine the impact on the quality of education. Teachers were changing schools and some even switched careers. The teachers were teaching half-heartedly. This was a common occurrence back then. I hope this is an isolated case, and I hope there are no financial issues in our government. Let's talk about a food delivery driver in Shanghai who has been delivering for 3 years, completing a total of over 110,000 orders and consistently ranking as the #1 delivery driver, cashing out 1.2 million. We're talking about the delivery guy in Shanghai. Of course, he doesn't work for Dada. Well, as for whether this is true or false, I think where there are people, there are different experiences, and there are things beyond our understanding. Speaking from my own experience, this year marks my 9th year in the delivery business. I achieved my first million in my 7th year. It took me until the 7th year to surpass 1 million. Of course, I deliver for Dada, while he delivers for Meituan's Lapao. The number of orders is quite high, with an average of over 100 orders every day. This means that each day he has to complete over 1,000 orders, including bonuses, to reach this achievement. In a year, it adds up to over 300,000 orders, and in 3 years, it's over 1 million. According to his own description, he spends 18 hours online every day, leaving little time for anything else. If we subtract time for meals and sleep, I wonder if he has even 4 hours of rest. To consistently maintain this kind of lifestyle year-round, I believe he must be an extraordinary person, perhaps even a god in the food delivery industry. Out of over 10 million delivery riders nationwide, I estimate there's only one like him. I don't recommend everyone imitate him because, whether you're working for any platform, it's impossible to achieve such a feat in just 3 words. If you're delivering for his platform, well, maybe you'll have more orders, either enjoying it or struggling through it. There's also the specialized delivery service, but are you a robot? Even with big data and algorithms predicting your earnings down to the hour, you'll only make around 30. If you manage to pull this off, you're essentially not sleeping for 24 hours. Of course, what I've encountered more often is pushing my body to the limit to take on more orders, ruining my health, and even facing sudden death in a rented room. Another risky behavior is running red lights. In a town in Henan province, public servants receive a monthly salary of 3,000 yuan. Their work hours are from 6 in the morning until 11 at night, which can be considered an overwhelming workload. Previously, I shared a story about a colleague in Henan who, during the first episode, co-submitted an article stating his annual income was 50,000 yuan, around 4,000 yuan per month with an additional bonus at the end of the year, totaling slightly over 50,000 yuan. However, in the second episode, his salary was reduced by 8,000 yuan, leaving him with just over 40,000 yuan. Therefore, the salary cut was quite substantial. Concerning the overall salary and benefits in Henan, I have previously covered this in a dedicated video. On average, the salaries in Henan are around 3,000 yuan. Some may be a bit lower, around 1,900 yuan, while others in certain industries or positions might be higher, ranging from 4,000 to 5,000 yuan. However, the average remains around 3,000 yuan. This applies specifically to public servants in Henan, whose monthly salary is around 3,000 yuan. Now, let's talk about a specific public servant in a rural area of Henan. I've been following him, and I recently saw that he posted 2 messages. The first message informed everyone to gather at 6 in the morning the next day for a meeting, followed by lunch and then starting work. The second message was about a meeting scheduled for 9 o'clock that night in the conference room to discuss matters for the next day. He mentioned that the meeting could last until around 11 or even 12 o'clock, making it an early start at 6 in the morning and a late finish at 11 at night, which is quite common. Many might wonder why the life of a public servant is like this. For instance, another colleague of mine who works in a more comfortable position in a larger department enjoys a relaxed schedule, working from 9 to 5. However, for the young public servant in the rural area of Henan, working in an office and engaging in poverty alleviation efforts, his workload is much heavier. When you combine all the unfavorable conditions on one person with low pay and demanding tasks, it becomes a normal phenomenon. Especially towards the end of the year, as I've mentioned in previous videos, there's a rush to meet performance targets, leading to tight schedules. This is especially true for rural towns, as they have to coordinate with numerous departments facing various policies, assessments, inspections, and acceptances. All of these responsibilities ultimately fall on the shoulders of those working in rural areas. Therefore, it's quite common for public servants in rural towns to work late until 11 at night during the end of the year. Year-end economic crisis, unpaid wages plague, Shenzhen and Guangzhou. At the end of the year, economic problems are emerging collectively. Those seeking payment or trying to escape debts are appearing, with a large number of people in Shenzhen and Guangzhou sleeping on the streets while demanding unpaid wages. Some have even gone without their salaries for 2 years. Employers are casually laying off employees, and suppliers, unable to collect debts, are dividing up resources on the spot. Mainland China's manufacturing industry is experiencing a severe decline, and the wave of demands for unpaid wages continues. At the year-end, there is no one to care. These rural migrant workers have been demanding unpaid wages here for such a long time, homeless, enduring daily rain, and still living here. In China, companies firing workers without fair reasons happens very often, and it's not surprising at all. When you use your legal weapons for arbitration or anything else will continue. In other words, starting from today, the company officially dismisses you. You are dismissed because you are not willing to compensate, right? Now, without any compensation, you can leave. You are not willing to compensate, right? What kind of notice do you want to issue to me? Let me tell you officially now, you can go. Now, you can go to the labor station and tell them that I'm not giving you any compensation. You don't need to stay here. Next, I will hold a meeting with them, and you don't have to participate. Starting tomorrow, you cannot enter this port area. You won't provide it, will you? I inform you. I don't have any notice now. I am forcibly dismissing you like this. I am forcefully releasing you. If I go to court, I am breaking the law. You can go. I don't need you now. You don't need to be here. You can go. You can go out. If you force me like this, you can go and sue, right? Should I pay this rent or not? I've been running my shop for 12 years and business has never been as bad as it is this year. It's only January, and there are hundreds of thousands of yuan worth of goods in the store. I'm selling a few hundred or 1,000 yuan worth every day. You've got it all wrong. Completely wrong. In order to stimulate the economy, they're desperately flooding the market and aggressively lending to businesses. But have they ever thought that in a bad market, who would dare to borrow? Loans need to be repaid, right? If, in the end, I can't repay, they'll auction my assets at a low price and turn me into a defaulter. Is that effective? Right now, ordinary people don't have money to spend. Find a way to increase everyone's income or just give out money directly. If everyone has money, they'll change their spending habits. Demand will surge, and you won't have to worry about businesses not expanding production. You keep giving me laxatives, but have you considered that maybe I haven't had a meal at all? Teachers' salaries unpaid. A bleak future for education in China. Recently, serious financial crises have erupted in many schools across China, dealing a heavy blow to the education system. The government's financial constraints have led to delayed funding for schools, pushing many institutions into operational difficulties. Some schools are even forced to reach out to parents for donations to maintain basic operations. The fundamental reason for this education crisis is the tight financial situation of the government. Schools, considered the cradle for nurturing future talents, are repeatedly frustrated due to financial problems. This not only reflects neglect towards the education sector, but also an oversight of the nation's future. The ineffective response from government officials has pushed schools to the brink of economic collapse. Many schools have to rely on the goodwill of parents to fill the financial gap, turning education into an exclusive realm for the wealthy. Economically disadvantaged students will lose the opportunity for quality education. Education should not become a luxury dictated by money. However, due to government inaction, this phenomenon is spreading in China. Furthermore, many teachers have not received their salaries for several months, undermining the foundation of those who are shaping the country's future, leaving them unsettled due to the government's financial mismanagement. This not only seriously damages the legitimate rights of teachers, but also inflicts significant harm on the education sector. When financial problems become the primary constraint, attracting capable individuals to engage in education becomes challenging. Schools, facing power supply issues due to unpaid electricity bills, are compelled to deal with power supply restrictions from utility companies. This results in a severe disruption of teaching activities, impacts students' academic progress, and leaves parents dissatisfied. In the contemporary knowledge economy, schools heavily rely on electricity for their normal operation. However, due to financial problems, the government is letting schools languish in darkness, which is a sacrilege against education. The plight of schools in China is not just a localized crisis, but a precursor to the collapse of the entire national education system. If the government cannot promptly address financial issues, more schools in China will be at risk of closure. This not only poses a significant burden on the country's future, but is also an irresponsible approach to education, which is the cornerstone of a nation's prosperity. The government's lack of concern, driven by financial difficulties, is deeply regrettable. The news about Chinese schools facing financial difficulties is not just a negative report, but also serves as a warning about societal responsibility. As China's financial issues continue to surface, mainland official media attempts to cover up the truth through the media. Recently, major official Chinese media outlets have been promoting a heartwarming story. An ordinary food delivery driver achieved financial freedom in just 3 years, earning over 1.2 million yuan. The report enthusiastically advocates that as long as ordinary people are willing to work hard, they can lead a comfortable life. However, behind this seemingly beautiful story lies real pain and helplessness. Let's examine the logic of this report together. If the delivery driver indeed earned 1.2 million yuan in 3 years, he would need to earn nearly 400,000 yuan per year. This means he would have to generate over 30,000 yuan in income every month. Calculated on a daily basis, he would need to earn more than 1,000 yuan per day. According to the current market conditions, a delivery driver can earn a maximum of 30 yuan per hour. Even if he worked continuously without sleeping for 24 hours, he would only earn 720 yuan per day. What's the truth behind this seemingly inspirational story? This is evidently a manipulation of data to mislead the public. The real culprit cannot deny that hardworking individuals deserve corresponding rewards. However, using such extreme and untrue examples to propagate the idea that hard work alone can lead to a good life will only cause more disappointment and heartache for those who genuinely toil away. Moreover, the beauty of life is not solely about the satisfaction of wealth and material possessions, but also about caring relationships between people and social justice. This absurd story is being used to drive the public towards the notion that working hard is the key to a good life. However, it is a mockery and an accusation that if your life is not good, it is because you are not working hard enough. This undoubtedly brings more significant psychological pressure to those who are already struggling and working hard. When evaluating a society's fairness and progress, we should not only focus on the wealth and success of the upper class, but also pay more attention to the well-being and rights of the people at the grassroots level. Reporting such success stories not only excessively beautifies reality, but also ignores the pain and effort of those who silently endure suffering to survive. They are also working hard, but they haven't achieved success and prosperity as described in the reported cases. This is undoubtedly a lack of respect and harm to the majority of people who are striving for a good life. Therefore, we need to be aware of not being deceived by these seemingly beautiful illusions. Instead, refocus attention on each person working hard for their livelihood. They don't need false encouragement, they need genuine respect and acknowledgement. These individuals are the cornerstone of human society, and their well-being and rights are the true wealth and strength of a nation.